Greg and Jeff and I said I always loved the fact that the suit wasn't, he didn't just decide to dress up like a superhero. It was something that they had in Star Labs that he repurposed. So in ours it was a turnout for firemen that was designed to withstand the heat, and why it was friction proof. So I mean, there are nods throughout, and it's especially weird seeing the Trickster episode again, because you know, our production designer up in Canada literally took the mural, the agitprop mural, and put it on the mural.
That really freaked us out when we saw it in your episode. Oh my God, you did the mural! There were so many little things in there. You even did a little sting from the music.
Yeah. Blake Neely actually, who does all of our music. He called Shirley and got permission or somehow to be able to do the Trickster theme.
Yeah.
And so what's great about it is, like, it's not just me, it's not just Jeff, it's not just Greg, it's everybody up there. I mean, there are so many people, you know, in the crew for whom the show meant something, and they're so proud to be working on the new show. So that episode, especially that Trickster episode, is filled with visual references, and people get so excited when they come up with something, and it's really to honor all of you guys, because we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if you guys hadn't done what
I think you even had the prank costume in there somewhere. Didn't you, on a dummy?
I did.
No.
Yeah, it was actually the original Trickster costume. And
Oh,
you
it's a
actually,
Trickster costume? Yeah.
when they're talking about James Jesse and you know, Cisco put something up on the screen. It's all screen grabs that they took from the episode. And actually, Mark's mugshot is they took that last image of you looking through the peephole, and they turn that into your mugshot.
I'm going to say one thing and then I'll shut up. But it's one thing that really, I think, it's quite moving to me that 25 years later, one season of a show is as important to so many people. I was at Hollywood Show today, and so often fathers will come with their sons and they'll say, you know, we watched the original Trickster, the original Flash with our fathers, and now we're watching the new show with our sons. And you know, I think one reason why particularly hardcore comic book fans are so into this show is, the way I say it, is Danny and Paul, and now Andrew and Greg and Jeff and David. They're the way it seems to me from the inside out is that they're writing a show that they can't wait to see. If we enjoy it, great. But you know, they're writing a show that they're just so excited about, and they so love and respect the character, and I think that resonates through both efforts. So it's a privilege to be here.
How the show has gone on. It was just one season, and it was a show that, you know, you didn't get the second season that you wanted. I mean, so, you know, we know why John thinks it resonates. Why do you guys think that people are still interested in this iteration of The Flash?
Well, I think it...
It's only about 4 hours.
No. Honestly, I think because we tried really hard to recreate in this show the way we felt about the comics. Because we were Silver Age guys, and we wanted it to feel like we did when we read it when we were kids. That it was real, and we wanted the show to not only be fun, but to kind of have a seriousness under it, and not make fun of it. And that, to me, was the essence of the show, is that we wanted to create a world where all these things could happen. And introducing the first supervillains was a moment for us, because we had to fight. You know, what people don't really understand is we had to fight really hard to make that happen, because the studio was behind us, but the network didn't want us to do a supervillain. And so when we finally got to do the Trickster, it was our chance to really let Mark go crazy, and we went crazy with the costume. He was the only villain that really had a costume, because he was crazy. But I don't know, I think that it's the enthusiasm and the love that really everybody up here had for the show and for the source material that comes through to me.
We haven't heard from a couple of folks up here. I would love to hear from David Newman, who writer and first AD. What was your favorite episode? I mean, you know, besides the two that we watched tonight.
It's a rare hyphenate, by the way. My favorite episode.
Yeah, what's your favorite episode?
The one I wrote, which was actually referred to in the first Trickster episode. It was called "Tina, Is That You?" And it was Tina joins a girl gang after a biofeedback experiment goes wrong.
Where did that idea come from? Was that something you brought in? Was that something?
They were, I've known these, I met Danny and Paul, I knew them 10 years before The Flash. I met them when they were working as extras, and I was just starting an assistant director career. And this was my first opportunity to actually work with them because it was the first thing that they produced and wrote and directed that was covered by the Directors Guild. So I had been writing all those years. We had been friends all those years. I remember I was working on the backlot. I had been working on the story. It had come, there was a bad Tina episode that there was a treatment of floating around. I had been working on that story. I remember Danny coming up to me on the set and going, how's your story going? And I go, pretty good. He goes, okay, we're taking you off the set, go write it. We just had a script fall out. So that was the first thing I got paid to write.
The director of that episode was
William Fraker.
the DP of Bullet.
Bullet and Rosemary's Baby, William Fraker directed that episode. And I got to write it and AD the episode.
I guess the same question for Vito. Vito, what's your favorite episode? What's the best Tony Bellows episode?
Half-Zimers. Let's see. I guess there are so many. I guess I'd have to say the one where I thought Biff was, was the Flash. Reluctantly, yeah. But I'm so grateful to be here, first of all, and also to Paul and Danny. Just real briefly, I met them on another pilot. And while we were shooting that, they said, hey, they were like two little kids. It was awesome. And they said, hey, we're doing this other pilot. Do you want to be part of it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And they offered me the role. And originally, Biff Maynard, who passed away, Moment of Silence, not good. A hell of a guy to work with and hysterical, as you can plainly see. We were only supposed to be in the pilot, from what I remember. And I guess they liked us and they kept bringing us back over and over. So that's also a favorite moment of mine.
I think the same thing with Mike. You were in an episode that Gail wrote, right? Weren't you in the first episode that you appeared in was one that, did you write down that?
We don't remember.
But Mike came in and did an episode, and then we started writing him in more and more, and he became part of the permanent.
I'll remind you, Gail, you created that character. And it was one of the first episodes. Mike was awesome, and then we wrote him into everything.
I swear I didn't remember that.
Thanks, Bill.
So for Danny and Paul, what were the hopes for season 2? I mean, as a kid watching the show and then it ended, it was such a bummer because it seemed like you guys had ended the season on such a big note and setting up the future in a big way. What were some of the ideas that you had for the future of The Flash?
Well, we now had a license to do what they're doing now. So it's awesome that they can really, and they've got Jeff Johns on the show who knows the comic inside and out, and they've got the Speed Force and all that stuff. So that Speed Force, I think, came after our show. But we wanted to do more Mark, we wanted to do more Mirror Master, we wanted to unchain Howard even further, and have more fun. The sad story of all this is the next season, Paul and I were on a contract, so we were out selling shows the next year. We went to CBS. And most of the development people at CBS were really upset that the show had been canceled because the boss, who had left, his bonus was tied to rating share, and he traded our 16 share for a 17 share on some other show. It had to do with his bonus, and our show was the only show on CBS that had young demographics. And so we were like,
No matter what night they put us on.
yeah, well, that too. But I mean, we went in there and it was like, that's why we were canceled. I mean, it was one of those many, what do you call it? Milestones. It was a milestone in our career.
I was actually at the Tonys the following year. I went to New York to do Dancing at Lunis on Broadway, and at the Tonys, Howard Stringer from corporate CBS came up to me and apologized for the way CBS had handled the show, and they had loved it, and I thought that was pretty extraordinary.
But the important thing is that now we're all here together in a room enjoying it, so you guys did incredible work that continues to live. Mark, you guys are back in the Flash universe. Can you talk about your current adventures in that world of the Speed Force?
John knows much more about it than I do. Although, again, I was there for the first episode of the show. I knew John was in it, but you know, I watched every episode by the time they called me, and when they said they're interested, my people called and said they're interested in you doing something on the Flash, and I thought, well, I'll be contemporary of John's. I'll probably be a fellow prisoner, or who knows, a professor. I said, what part do they want me to play? They said the trickster. I said, what? I know there's time travel in the Flash universe. I'm not sure. I mean, I was pushing it, getting into that outfit decades ago. I'm not sure I can hold in my stomach for 10 days. But again, when I think, but they're really smart. I mean, these guys are making really interesting choices. I mean, to have that backstory from the get-go of John being falsely accused of murder, I mean, that's just a human element that naturally draws people back. I would venture to say even women who tend to not like comic book properties as much, they do care about that human drama, so it's very, very smart. And then when I spoke to Andrew and he told me the idea, which is that I've been in prison all these years, and they come to me to try and bring down Devin Gray, who's spectacular in the part as the new trickster. I said, great. I mean, again, that's just a smart thing to do, because I mean, I don't want to do anything that's really age inappropriate, but I hadn't really, it took 25 years or whatever it was for that other shoe to drop. It's like I say, I thought, you know, I couldn't process them not renewing the Flash, because I mean, if it were on now, it would be in the top 10 or top 20. I mean, it's just, it was back before there was, you know, hundreds of channels to choose from, and you know, the computer